everyone, my name is Ariel, I'm autistic, and welcome back to my channel. As I'm sure everyone remembers, I was diagnosed at 18. Now, I was diagnosed with Aspergers, which we no longer use that term, but Asperger syndrome is a condition that's on the autism spectrum. So I guess now I just tell people that I'm autistic. Being diagnosed at 18, which is a late diagnosis, but probably not as late as some that haven't been diagnosed yet, which is very common to be misdiagnosed or to receive a late diagnosis, especially in females. I learned a lot about myself, but since being so open and comfortable with my diagnosis, I've learned a lot more about myself, or I've noticed certain things that I do that maybe I didn't pay attention to, almost 10 years ago. Okay, but what I want to talk about today is what is autism? What is an autism diagnosis? The abbreviation ASD, which just means autism spectrum disorder. The word spectrum just refers to a wide range of symptoms and severity. So each person with autism is very different. I'm not going to be the same as somebody else that you meet that is also on the spectrum, or two other people that are on the spectrum. We might have similar traits, but just like any other individual, we are also very different. Now, autism is a condition related to brain development that impacts each person. That can be anything from social interaction to communication to repetitive patterns of behavior. Social interaction and communication can be things like has poor eye contact. I have terrible eye contact. Also lacks facial expressions, which my video last week kind of talked a little bit about that. I have a hard time expressing myself, or really my facial expression is always just kind of bubbly, happy, smiley. I think those are facial expressions. And I might have those same expressions when I'm feeling different emotions. Or another one will be, having a hard time understanding simple questions or directions. And I am definitely have a difficult time with those. Can also be something like, and as I'm trying to say this next one, I just did a great example of what that is. It's nonverbal, having delayed speech, or loses ability to say or complete words or sentences. And as you can see, I just did that, And it happens to me quite a bit. Also, repeating words or phrases verbatim, but maybe doesn't understand how to use them. And I do that all the time, especially when I'm with my friends. They'll say words or phrases, and I just know that they're saying them all the time, and I think it sounds right if I use it in this sentence or if I use it in this context, and so I do it anyway. And I love my friends because they don't ever correct me on it or nothing. They just let me have it. Maybe I also do this too. I do it a lot when I'm at work. It's inappropriately approaching a conversation by being passive or aggressive or a little disruptive. My friends normally just say I show the hard love. So I say something that maybe to other people they would think is rude, but with me I don't mean it in a rude way, because I'm also laughing or smiling about it, or say it was good to see you, and then just say something else that makes completely no sense or comes off in a way that maybe it shouldn't have. Can't start a conversation or keep one going. I do that also. It's so hard to, like, when you're talking to somebody, and somebody could just mean just anybody, generally speaking, and they say hey, and you're like, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? And like, that's it. Or if I'm on the other end and you say hi and I respond hello, because I don't like using the word hey, I rather say hi or hello. But if you ask me how I'm doing, I'm gonna say I'm good, or I'm great, or I'm doing well. That's it. Conversation is over. I have nothing else to say. Or if I don't have anything to respond to you with, or I don't know how to respond, I just send a random emoji. I'm a very sarcastic person. At least I think I am. But having difficulty in recognizing other people's sarcasm is huge, because I just think that you're being serious, and either A, it might hurt my feelings, or B, I don't really take things offensively, but maybe I take minor offense to it. But I don't know when you're being sarcastic unless I know you really well. All right, patterns of behavior. Maybe problems with coordination, clumsiness, stiff or exaggerated body movements. So now that I thought about it, it explains why I never did any sports. 'Cause I'm very clumsy. Now I cheered, and I do highly consider cheerleading a sport, because let me tell you, that was hard. But that was easy for me because I don't want to say it right now because it's going to go into my next little area. So keep that there. But I do have very exaggerated body movements, and I'm still very clumsy. Maybe sensitive to light, sounds, touch. It's funny because, like, growing up, when we had to do, like, the school pictures in elementary school, And then really in any pictures that my mother would take. I don't know if I can do the facial thing that I did before when I was younger, but light was a huge thing for me. Light still bother me, but I can kind of gauge how much light is too much. It's hard to explain. Like my body will start to tell me like, okay, this is too much, so walk away or go into another room. But I would smile for pictures like this. I think I did it right, but my eyes were usually closed, or maybe my eyes were watering. I hated the flash when I was taking a picture. The flash still bothers me most of the time. Sensitive to sounds. Yep, still very sensitive to all the sounds. But usually when I have subtitles on, like when I'm watching a TV show, I'll leave the subtitles because I can have the volume down just a little bit and I can just read also. Touch, yes. Growing up, I hated to be touched. I didn't want you to hug me or nothing. No. I still don't really like any physical touch. Developing a routine, right? So routines are something that you do every single day. So I have a routine that I do in the morning, and then after that I do my day-to-day routine. So it's not just like I have a morning routine from when I get out of bed and start my day. I also have other routines that I do while I'm doing something else. Like if I'm cleaning my living room, it's a routine the way I'm gonna clean my living room. I have to start from one area and work my way around. Which is also why cheer worked so really good for me, because it was very routine and there was no clumsiness, so that was fine. But also, if there's changes in your routine or something disrupts it, it can kind of send you into a little bit of a panic mode. I've learned, or I've noticed that the more that I express myself, the more I share like my personal experiences and my story, especially on my TikTok. But just as my handle down here, feel free, go follow it. I'm much more active on there. But the more that I put on there, people that are probably not even diagnosed with autism now start to question and wonder if they are, which is kind of crazy, right? Like, could you imagine a world where majority of the population is autistic? That's just because when I was growing up, right, we had no idea that I was on the spectrum. And even when my mother had her thoughts that I was, it wasn't until I was 18 that I was diagnosed, because right in the 90s, early 2000s, autism wasn't very common, and it also was not common in females. So it's still harder as a female to be diagnosed with autism, and it's also common to be misdiagnosed or receive a late diagnosis. And I personally think that it's okay to self-diagnose yourself. There's this quote that I really didn't understand until like I learned more about myself, but it's when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. It's very interesting and I like it.